Oh my God, I don't know what happened. I don't know what that was.
Maybe
So
I
weird.
offended the gods of the internet that, objected to me saying that I didn't want to have chocolates or orgasms every day necessarily.
Oh my God, it was going so well. Then it's just like, and yeah, it's never done that before. So anyhow,
I'm
you
going to
know,
chalk it up. We have amazing energy, and we're probably
yeah,
just, frying the circuitry.
just overwhelming with awesomeness is
There you
probably
go.
what happened. Likely. Okay, so what we were talking about before
Yes.
was this idea of self-love and how that term gets tossed around a lot,
It
and
does.
it can get to the point where it's kind of obnoxious, where
Right.
it just starts to feel like um, just something to do, something yet one more thing. And I think that when we aren't really connected to like what we need and what we experience as love, and as ways that we can take care of ourselves, and we're using other people's definitions or other people's expressions of that, then we can get into that kind of disconnect where it starts to feel burdensome. And
Exactly.
so what I love that you were sharing, and I think you've done such a great job of, is really connecting to, for you, what that looks like and how to find kind of those juicy, delightful moments, things that you can incorporate in your day. And so you were sharing so beautifully about that. And I just want to let you continue with
All right.
hopefully no more crazy technology shits.
Nice re-intro. That was beautifully
Thanks.
done.
Thanks so much.
So yeah, so what it really requires for me, what works, because I do literally change every day. And I know this is not me being, just having multiple personalities.
Right.
This is what's normal in the human condition, that when we wake up every morning, there's going to be something that our soul yearns for that day that's probably just a little bit different than what it was the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Hour by hour, this shifts. So I really do love to have a giant basket of all of the things that I can discover and pull in and fill it up, so that I can kind of reach in and choose. It's almost like a little raffle basket,
Yeah.
like dip
Little
in there
treat.
for the slips, right? The treats.
Yeah.
And I love that idea, because it's something that one of my daughters did for me for a Valentine's gift last year, which was to, just take a plastic container and put in there all these little slips that she hand wrote. It was very sweet, of things that she would love to do for me, from, a foot rub to, let's go for a walk together to, she'll make me a cup of tea. And I love this because I could just dip in and know that something different's going to come out, and that every single one of them are things that she chose that she loves to do with me.
Yeah.
And I think we need these things for ourselves. And the
Yeah.
only way to discover what works for our baskets is to play, it's to experiment. And to me, this is a form of sacred play, Amy. It's, it's not something to be taken too seriously, and yet it's something that I think is crucial to our well-being.
Yeah.
And through just opening ourselves up with that curiosity I was talking about, we can begin to gather the little different pieces that we might like to fill our baskets with. I like to call those things daily kisses, because I think of them as kisses from our truest selves. And everything in my basket, 95% of what's in my basket has to be 3 minutes or less. It has to be something really, really small and simple, but that has a beautiful chance of working, because somewhere in between, being mom and being a wife and being a solopreneur and doing my brick and mortar business and the online work and podcasting and teaching and all of these things I actually love. Like, there isn't anything that I'm doing regularly in my life right now that I don't love. But it's full. It's so full that if there's something that takes more than 3 minutes, it's not going to happen, at least not with any consistency.
Right.
And so So that's why I choose these little tiny pieces, knowing that that's the best way to love myself. And that's just what I love to share, is to start writing down a list. That's what I started with, just jotting things down, sometimes just on the back of a napkin, if that's what was handy, or,
Yeah.
on my hand, if I was going along, I didn't have a piece of paper.
Right.
And just start collecting them, so that when I would have a little tiny moment, I didn't have to sit and think about it. I could just notice what out of this list looks like, feels like. There's a little pull of delight, and takes the kind of brain work out and lets me touch in with the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, we talked about this too in earlier conversations about, this has come up in mapping and in sort of using the maps in service of discovering these things,
Yes.
and just setting an intention to have more of these, delights each day, and these little kisses, these little quickies
Yes.
of self-love that
Right.
that we get to kind of sprinkle throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, I think, for a lot of us when we get busy and we get
Mhm.
pulled in different directions, and, or taking care of the people in our lives, or
Mhm.
going to work, or whatever the things are, right? To kind of lose that. And so
Right.
you've done some mapping around just being able to kind of track those things.
It's
And
true.
yeah, being able to, kind of look for those opportunities to
Yeah.
have something that really is juicy and satisfying, and not just like an intellectual construct of, oh,
Right.
I will have, I don't know, like a quick dance around the room, you know, and just to have that
Yeah,
be like thing, like maybe for you and I, of course, that's something that's like, oh yeah, absolutely,
you bet.
it's super
It
fun.
is fun.
Like 3 or 4 minutes of joy, and like moving your body, and all of that is wonderful.
Yes.
And for other
Yes.
people that may not resonate. And so for the love of God, do not dance around the room thinking
Right.
that you're taking care of yourself if that makes you crazy or it sounds terrible. It's like, it's not just
Totally.
going through the motions. What I love is that you've come from like the spirit of curiosity. And I think that we can all do this, of just thinking
Yeah.
of, what ways can we be kind to ourselves? What ways can we create these little pockets throughout the
Yeah.
day where we get
Right.
to enjoy ourselves? And it
Mhm.
hadn't occurred to me until I was listening just now that this also has some parallels to the Map Your Romance that I was talking about last week. And
Right.
yeah, that was something that was, kind of fun and sparked by the whole Valentine's Day thing. But
Uh-huh.
I knew that when I was talking about mapping your romance and this idea of working with your partner to come up with
Yeah.
different ways in which you feel loved, and like,
Mhm.
having fun, mapping those experience and those things that you can do for each other,
Right.
or be for each other, that has you feel loved, that like it naturally lends itself to this idea of self-care, and how we love ourselves, and how we feel loved,
Right.
how we feel cared for in
Mhm.
ourselves. And so I think that is very much related to what you're talking about. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, can you share for yourself, like some of these ideas, things that you like to do for yourself that, the
Yeah.
Mappers could maybe try?
Absolutely. My daily kisses and daily delights.
Yes.
You're right. One of my swirl maps now is actually called Daily Delights and Brave Boundaries. It's all on
Oh,
the same one. So
nice.
every time that I either do a daily delight, a daily kiss for myself, then I
Mhm.
get to mark in a swirl. And then if I set a boundary also, because that's something that you've helped me, Amy, with realizing
Yeah.
that I do, like, this is a growing edge for me. It's setting
Yeah.
boundaries and saying, check it out. Even though I love you, whoever you are, family, friend, client,
Yeah.
I am actually off duty sometimes. I am not available
Yeah.
24/7.
Yes.
Because otherwise, nothing beats the experience when you're, having a video conference with a client and they look at you and they go, you look really tired.
Oh, yes.
Bless you for
Yes.
sharing that
Bless
honor of truth with
that.
me. Yes. So anyway, so daily delights and brave boundaries. So now every time that I do something that really sets and holds a container of sacred space for myself, I get to color that in. So that's pretty fun because that means I get to color in multiple ones a day.
Nice.
But back to what you were saying about the Map Your Romance, everything that comes out about relationships that works, and all of the Valentine's Day hoopla, all of those things should be applied to us, to our own relationship with ourselves. And in my book, it's really that which allows us to show up in the world with the people that we care about, in all our intimate relationships, to be able to have a really rich experience and have more of our authentic selves available to share. So, so one of the things, one of the little daily kisses is touching yourself tenderly. Like I think about if I go up to my husband or I go up to my daughters, and if I just want to nurture them, I love touch. And so I'll go up and I might stroke their head, you know, or I might massage their hand for a minute, you know, or just give them a sweet little kiss. And it helps me feel better and connected, and it seems to help them feel better also. So I've experimented over the last year or so with doing this for myself, because our skin, it's the largest organ in our bodies.
Right.
We overlook this all the time. We're so busy, you know, shaving and cleansing and right. Way more interested in making ourselves smell good than in, you know, making sure that our skin is feeling nurtured. So I found that a simple thing is to actually give myself a calf massage. And it doesn't sound like any big whoop, but it's really sweet. You can take 3 minutes, take a little bit of lotion, or I have super sensitive skin. So I like to just take a little jojoba oil with some essential oil so I can really enjoy that aromatherapy aspect, and just massage my calf, you know, and down to my feet. It's something I would do for someone else that I love. So I've noticed if I do that for myself now and then, it feels really good. So that's one thing. Touch yourself tenderly. And then another one of my favorites, I've never heard anybody else share, is to choose a food. It has to be something that you have on hand, because we don't want it to be anything where you have to drive out to the store and, you know, seek it. But you choose a food that you really enjoy the flavor of, that has the best part, the most succulent part anywhere, but on the bottom, which, as you know, is case for most foods. Most of them have it maybe on the top or in the middle. And so then what you do is you either break it open if the best part is in the middle and take a bite of that so that that touches your tongue first. So you get to soak up those flavors. Or if it's something like, I don't know, a piece of pizza, just flip it upside down so the really great part touches your tongue first. I figure we delay gratification in our adulting. That's a word I've been using lately. We're just busy adulting. And that's all about showing up, being responsible. It's a good thing, except that it gets old and it can make us feel old. And so I figure, why not choose a few spaces that are completely harmless and let ourselves have that instant gratification in a way that we're really soaking up. And that's the biggest thing, is with any of these daily kisses, to truly give ourselves that 3 minutes or less to be present, and just briefly put on pause the part of our brain that's like, we should be doing this or that or the other thing, so that we can nourish much more efficiently that way.
Well, and I like that too, of just, I think it is something that's kind of unusual, where when we're younger, especially as it relates to food, I think we are much more apt to be playful about it. I can remember my mother like chiding me for, stop playing with your food. Like one of my favorite things when I was younger to eat was this flank steak. And she would slice it in these very, thin slices, and they were intended to be cut and eaten with a fork. But I would dangle them above my head, and she would be like horrified, like, surely we cannot have our daughter thinking that these are appropriate table manners. But it's like, it was more fun that way. It was more of a sensory experience. And so this idea of kind of like flipping it around and just giving yourself permission to do it differently and like see what that looks like. I mean,
it's true. And what is not fun about dangling something? Like, I had to check the pasta the other day. I almost never get to eat pasta in my house because my husband is very paleo. He's a nutritionist, a chiropractor. He's like, no, carbs, not good for you. But I found some egg noodles. I was like, look, they have eggs in them, so we can enjoy them. And so I was pulling it out, and they were like fat, and they were really wiggly, and they were like this long. And I was like, ha! I get to play with it. And then there's another thing that I really like to recommend, that is just giving ourselves the gift of completion, because we do things in our adulting, I don't know, hundreds of times a day, really.
Yeah, so much.
We're pretty powerful human beings, and we're getting shit done. And I appreciate that. I love that. It feels good. But I've noticed for myself, and maybe you can relate, that sometimes we might get something done that was kind of a big deal for us, even if it didn't look big to anybody else. And then instead of just taking a moment, giving ourselves the gift of completion and saying, wow, just take that in for a minute. Like, I did that, and then move on. We just blow past it and say, what else on the list of 500 things is there to do? So just taking that brief little pause so we can let the goodness sink in. That's really good. And then one other little piece is recognizing what it is that we're doing that's touching the lives of other people, and acknowledging ourselves for that, because these daily delights, they are about giving ourselves the very things that we love to receive from other people. And the cool thing is, and this took me by surprise, Amy, but the more I started giving myself the good strokes, the little pleasures, the more other people started showing up that way too. So it's wild. It's like we start setting this field effect where other people recognize, oh, okay, this is the expectation that there's going to be some delights coming in or some positive acknowledgement. And I think that we often unconsciously reject the goodness that is available from other people in our lives because we're literally not letting ourselves have the pleasure of taking that in. So just sometimes recognizing in the middle of a busy day, pausing and going, wow, there were 3 things that I did already today that I felt really nourished about, just touching the lives of these other people. And whether or not they ever come forth and say anything about it, that just feels good to soak up. It's like giving myself a love. So that's another example.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's savoring the tiny victories. And that's, so much of what we talk about, and certainly as it, relates to maps, progress mapping, is like just having an awareness and a consciousness about as you go throughout your day and any day, like the most normal mundane days.
Yes.
Excuse me. I think that's what's really important, to be able to notice those little things that happen throughout the day, because I do think it's really easy to kind of get in that beast mode where we're just trying to get so much handled, and it's like, what else you got? Like handled, and not really pausing to just notice, okay, actually that was really sweet, or somebody sent me a really nice note and said
Yeah.
that I helped them with something, or
Mhm.
that, you know, I showed up for a friend and she was really grateful that, you know, I could have time to talk with her. And like
Mhm.
little things that are happening. I've been actually experimenting with that myself, and just making more of a big deal about what's going right.
Mhm.
And as things that are
Yes.
coming into my life that I enjoy, that I love, like saying thank you out loud. I'm, you know, for whatever reason, when I'm by myself too, I'm like, thank you. I say like
I
and
love
sing
it.
these weird little things.
Yeah.
And I had a little happy dance the other day because I'd gotten this wonderful order in, and you know, it's like the biggest one to date. And
Yay.
yeah, and it was really fun. And so I was like, yes, this is great. This is like exactly what I wanted, and this is helping someone, and it's making a meaningful impact. Like, it's fantastic. And so I just had a little dance. I was like, all right, let's just put on a music. Let's do a little something that's, you know, kind of celebrating this and just enjoying it. Because
Yes.
when we can't enjoy the little stuff that's happening on any given day, we're not going to enjoy the big stuff. And it's
It's
just going to be some
true.
intellectual construct in our head that we project out and then
Yeah.
make conditional, like, oh, I will be happy and be grateful for my life for real when this happens, when, you know, I have this partner, when I lose this weight, when I have this money, when I'm recognized by this person. And it just gets to be this sort of like never ending
Yes.
delay of gratification, delay of experiencing love and feeling alive, and just being glad that you woke up that day, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's true. And I think that although it tends to come very naturally for children, and I highly recommend watching ones that you actually enjoy, because some of us are
Yeah.
kid people and some of us aren't. But you can watch at a playground from a distance, for instance.
Yeah.
It terrifies me, the thought of going into a preschool, because all there, and I get a little
Yeah.
overwhelmed with my nervous system. But
Yeah.
I do love watching them play, because it reminds me that we are born, barring some, you know, massive neurological issue, with the ability to really take in pleasure. But as we grow, and darn it doesn't take very long. I mean, like from the age of 5, we're being taught to start closing things off and, you know, be responsible. And I've got nothing against responsibility. I'm a hugely responsible person, but
Right.
I feel like there's this pruning process, and that what we need to be responsible for doing is finding ways to open back up our capacity to take in the pleasure, to take in just that sense of joy and comfort and satisfaction and just contentment in our lives. And it takes like hundreds of tiny doses of that. It's like building a muscle, which sounds
Yeah.
weird. It's something that we are born with, and yet we have to open it back up. It's like that eye of the needle. There can be all of this wonderfulness, and if we don't have anything bigger than the eye of the needle to get it through, it's pretty tough to shove that through. So if we can just open that up a little bit, then it becomes more effortless to enjoy all those little moments. And then the bigger moments are awesome too. But there's no more just like waiting for that time, that magical time when it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of pressure on whatever that it is.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that what you're advocating, and what I've seen you doing in your own life, is just being curious and playful and interested in yourself and how you experience love. And, you know, I'd imagine that one of your love languages is physical touch. We were talking about how you express your love to your family, and then a way to express that for yourself. And, you know, just rubbing lotion over your calves and doing a little bit of a massage, like
exactly.
that's something that really works for you. And so just having fun with this, and playing with this, and certainly mapping can be part of it. It can be something that you can just explore and, you know, take inspiration from this conversation and things like that. But to just try different things and see what feels good and
Mm-hmm.
how you know that it's working,
Right.
in terms of how you're feeling, that it's fun, it's joyful, it feels like relief, it feels like a
Mm-hmm.
break, it feels um, just like it's giving yourself permission to just want what you want
Yes.
and to enjoy it.
Right.
And so it doesn't have to be, anything. It doesn't have to fit any sort of mold or exterior criteria other than it just feels good to you.
Right. Exactly. And even something that popped up that isn't exactly a daily delight, but I think it helps
Mm.
with expanding this capacity is whenever we have challenges in our lives, and I know that everybody watching this is a damn good problem solver. We generally get right on the train of, okay, what are all the ways that we can make this better?
Yeah.
But I had a coach once that suggested that when I'm coming up with possible solutions, that I choose at least one thing that is illegal or immoral, not to actually do, but
Uh,
to like pop open that part of our brain, so that we can get more creative and get a little more playful about it. And,
yes.
so I really encourage that, strange as that sounds.
Yeah, I love that though, because I think that's just, it's a nice little like for our brain
Yeah.
to consider coloring outside the lines a little bit here, you know?
Exactly. And darn if
And
I don't have a problem with that, Amy, on the maps, on the swirls. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I went
uh,
outside the line. But then I'm like, oh, but it's okay because it's my
yes, that's an opportunity for some self-love and compassion right there.
That's
You
right.
know, that's there's something really empowering and really badass and adulty about being like, I don't care. I
Right.
just colored out the line and it is not a problem, you
One
know?
time it went so crazy, I drew in an extra swirl.
Hey,
Imagine that. I was
there you
like,
go.
I can draw an extra swirl.
Yes, you can. There are so many ways you can handle that and for that not to be like an issue or a crisis. Yes. So, I think it's just, Rochelle, appreciate you. Uh, she was laughing about that. Yeah, it's something that we do, and it gets to the point, I think, where when we start to finally notice that we're doing it, it's because shit has started to come undone, or we
Right.
have come off the rails a little bit, where we
Right.
don't realize that we set up all of these rules for ourselves
Mhm.
and the way that we're supposed to do things, and the things that we have to do, and just the way that we're going about our lives. And we can get in these ruts where we have all these rules and schedules
Yeah.
and criteria, and not realizing that it's actually not working because we're not enjoying ourselves, and it
Right.
is not making us feel more happy to be alive. It is not having us feel stronger, more generous, more kind, creative. And so I think this whole practice of mapping self-love, of looking for those daily delights, those little pockets of joy that we can have on any given day,
Yes.
um, that's really about kind of um, letting go of those constraints that we've created in our own mind,
Mhm.
and just actually enjoying ourselves and being more alive, and being more of who we are. And everything goes better when that happens,
It
by the way.
does. It
It's like
does.
everything that you want in your life is much more accessible if you can just like let go and be kind and loving to yourself.
Mm.
So we talk about it so much here.
Exactly. I have a quote I would love to share,
Yeah,
that's
please do.
in this vein, and this is by a woman named SC Lori at Butterflies and Pebbles on Facebook.
Oh, cool.
If you can honor the strength that got you to today, if you can honor the strength you showed in keeping to the trail, if you can pay homage to the tragedies that revealed how deep and loving you really are, if you can look back and see the beauty of your soul growing throughout all the difficult moments when it felt like you were locked in an invisible prison, a beautiful life you will feel all around you now. The sacredness of your breath, the fact that you have so much behind you because you kept on going. Tell me your story without your head hanging in shame. Tell me your story with your head held high, because you became the hero you needed, nobody else. You got yourself to today, and for that alone, you should be so proud.
Mm. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
let that sink in for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really beautiful. Really lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that we just get in the habit, I think, of doubting ourselves and get in the habit of questioning and thinking that we should have done it differently or
Right.
judging ourselves in the past by our present knowledge.
Right.
And so when we can just like be kind to ourselves and receive ourselves in the way that we would those we love,
Yes.
then it's amazing like what that shift does and how we can sort of, you know, recognize ourselves as someone that we were, you know, looking forward to seeing and wanting to be with. So I love
Yes.
that. Love that quote.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I oh, and Rochelle, thank you so much for piping in. She said, giving grace to yourself is the best gift you can give. Yes.
So true. Yes.
Yes. No, it's beautiful. And it
Mhm.
makes a difference. It's like, it's really, really potent stuff. So, yeah, I love that. I love that this is an ongoing conversation. And because this is something that I have learned for myself out of necessity of having not done that.
Yeah.
And, you know, recovering perfectionist, like overachiever, type A, balls to the wall kind of girl who, you know, lived that as if my life depended on it because I based my worth and my beingness and my okay on what I achieved. And so having come full circle with that, and now my passion is, of course, helping people get where they want to go in their life and feel what they want to feel and be who it is that they want to be.
Yeah.
By going about it in a different way.
Yes.
And having it really founded in loving yourself and being kind to yourself no matter what. Because you know, I was just having this conversation last week with Terry when she was on, that when you create that foundation of being loving and kind to yourself and having your own back and being on your own side, you can build something upon that. It's like, it is not something that anybody can take from you, no matter what happens or what's going on. And for me, that was like just huge game changer of, you know, not feeling safe in the world, not feeling like I could really deeply trust and rely on people that I wanted to. But that I was just waiting for somebody or something else to really see me and to give me what I most needed and to say what I most need to hear. And so it's all connected to this type of thing where we get to know ourselves and to experiment, and it's just one small thing at a time. You know, it's one little bit. Like,
thank
just
God.
Thank God. Yeah, it's just a little bit at a time. Like, we don't need to get overwhelmed or have it be like a big thing. It's just today. Like, start with today, whatever's going on, and having those little moments for yourself, the 3-minute round or whatever that is, that you can just start there and bring some attention to that. And then, we just go one day at a time. That's all we can do. So yes. So I love you sharing that. I love you sharing your ideas and how you've been mapping these different things in your life. And this is something that you're really, really passionate about and overflows into your work and things that you're doing. And I know that you, I wanted to share too at the tribe that you actually have something coming up where you're going to be talking more about this and be offering more ideas. And so just before you go, I wanted you to share that. And if this is resonating with other people and they want to get more ideas and more things from you, what can you do?
Thank you. I love that. I am doing a free webinar next week. It's on Thursday, February 25th at 6 p.m. Pacific. And I'm sure there's an easy way to get a sign-up link to you.
We can do that.
We can do that. But what it is, it's 1 hour, and it's called Rekindle Your Soul Fire with Aphrodite's Spark. This particular one is for women only, not because I don't love men, just because,
we love you, man.
Yes, I think that in my practice, it's the women that are struggling the most with the demands of the busyness of life. caretaking a lot of different people and projects. And sometimes we get so damn tired, and we need some ways to literally rekindle our spark. So that's what I designed this for. And there's going to be 3 ways to bring more energy, beauty, and magic into your everyday life. So I would love for people to come and join it. It's going to be a great class, and just an opportunity to share some of these things that I found so valuable in my own life.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, what I love about you too is I feel like you have such a connection and a reverence to the reverence for the feminine.
Yeah.
And you know, just the goddess and for someone like myself who you know, I have a lot of masculine in me, and you know, spent a lot of my life operating in a very masculine way, and like, you know, that playing with that energy and just exploring what it is to be feminine and to, you know, kind of get into all of the girliness. Is really fun, because for me, it was something that was so foreign in a lot of ways, but you know, it's really, it's part of our natural birthright and who we are. But I love that you really bring that forth in your work, and that's such a passion of yours.
It is, and it's something that you know, it took me a long time to really develop comfort with it myself. I think that those of us that grow up with the perfectionist issues and being overachievers, we do go into a very yang, a very masculine zone. And there's nothing wrong with that. We are whole, complete people, and we need all of the masculine and feminine energy available to us. But we do tend to go into overdrive. And I think that our Western culture can really perpetuate that if we want to be successful. And yet there's another piece that for any of us that were ever abused as children, or even as adults, we often develop a sensitivity where it doesn't feel safe connecting with our divine feminine nature, because that part got wounded. And now we're in a space in our lives where we get to reclaim what it is that is our birthright, as you stated so well, and to be able to recognize that this is actually incredibly protective, and that it is through reclaiming the wholeness that we are, that we can keep ourselves and our loved ones safe, and have the best chance for healthiness and joy. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think it's really important, and it's something that for me, it's still an area that I'm, you know, kind of exploring and getting to know, and just enjoying that aspect of it. There's so much richness and loveliness in there.
Right on.
Yay. So thank you so much for coming back and sharing, and for being such a trooper with our random technical issues that I do not have an explanation for. But yeah, just lovely to learn from you. And I love the example that you've been setting and how you've been using the maps, and really striving to just deepen your connection with yourself and caring for yourself, which is not an easy thing to do within the context of a busy life and being a mom and a solopreneur and wife, and like all of the things that you do so much. But I love how it's increasingly rooted in doing for yourself and caring for yourself.
It is. And I have this policy of never asking my clients or my students to do anything that I'm not doing myself. So dang it just means I have to keep walking my talk.
I know, it's like, you know, yeah.
Exactly. So thanks for this opportunity to share. I love all of the Map Your Progress delights that have come out. You have pressed your envelope, your growing edges, to bring this out over the last few months in this expansive way. And I'm a beneficiary. And so thank you. I hope you keep going with it, because we sure love it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It is very much a day-to-day experience and experiment. And yeah, just wanting to be brave and be myself. And I think that's probably the bravest thing that we can do, and just sharing more of ourselves in that way. So thank you for that. I'm glad that's come through.
All right.
All right, my dear.
Thanks,
Okay,
Amy.
well, You are so welcome. Everybody's watching. Thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank
coming
you.
by, for hanging with us with the crazy technical issues. And yeah, we will be back again next Wednesday at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye.